Hello, my name is Joshua Mugabi. I welcome you to Biology Lights. And in this session, we are going to talk about disease transmission and control. Classify the following diseases under the headings: transmissible and non-transmissible, lung cancer, whooping cough, rickets, arthritis, appendicitis, food poisoning, tuberculosis, measles, diabetes, anemia, syphilis, influenza, AIDS, coronary heart disease, and hemophilia. Transmissible are whooping cough, food poisoning, tuberculosis, measles, syphilis, influenza, and AIDS. Non-transmissible include lung cancer, rickets, arthritis, appendicitis, diabetes, anemia, coronary heart disease, and hemophilia. In droplet infection, where do the droplets come from? Droplets come from respiratory passage, bronchi, trachea, nose, and the mouth. In droplet infection, what infective agents might they contain? Droplets might contain bacteria or viruses. Give examples of diseases normally spread by droplets. Examples of infections spread by droplets are tuberculosis, colds, influenza, measles, chicken pox. Give two examples of diseases which can be spread by contaminated drinking water. Typhoid and cholera can be spread by contaminated water. How can the spread of typhoid and cholera be prevented? One, effective disposal of sewage. 2, purification of drinking water. Suggest 3 ways in which food might become contaminated by harmful bacteria. 1. From the unwashed hand of the food handler. 2. By houseflies and blowflies walking over it. 3. By infected droplets or dusty particles landing on it. Which one of the following is least important in preventing the contamination of food? A. Keeping food away from flies. B. Washing hands before preparing food. C. Not coughing or sneezing over food. D. Not smoking while preparing food. It's part D. Although smoking while preparing food is indicative of careless attitude, there is little risk of its contaminating food. Tobacco ash would be sterile. The following events explain the outbreak of food poisoning in a factory canteen. Put the events in the appropriate order. A. Pathogenic bacteria in intestine. B. Unwashed hands prepare food. C. Kitchen worker has intestinal disease. D. Outbreak of food poisoning. E. Pathogenic bacteria in feces. F. Pathogenic bacteria get into food. G. Hands not washed after defecation. H. Feces expelled in lavatory. I. Food ingested by healthy people. The appropriate order. C. Kitchen worker has intestinal disease. A. Pathogenic bacteria present in intestine. E. Pathogenic bacteria in feces. H. Feces expelled in lavatory. D. Hands not washed after defecation. B. Unwashed hands prepare food. F. Pathogenic bacteria get into food. I. Food ingested by healthy people. D. Outbreak of food poisoning. Which one of the following is the most appropriate description of a contagious disease? A contagious disease is one which is spread by A. Contaminated food. B. Contaminated drinking water. C. Contact with an infected person. D. Droplets from an infected person. The most appropriate description of a contagious disease is part C, one which is spread by contact with an infected person, or in fact, clothing or towels, etc., used by infected persons. In the air passages, a layer of dash traps bacteria. This dash is carried away from the linings or by the action of dash cells, which line the air spaces or passage. In the air passages, a layer of mucus traps bacteria. This mucus is carried away from the lungs by the action of the ciliated cells, which line the air passage. The dash layer of the skin is a barrier to the entry of bacteria. Also, the dash gland and dash glands produce bactericide substances. If bacteria get through damaged skin, they are attacked by dash and dash in the blood. The conified layer of the skin is a barrier to the entry of bacteria. Also, the sweat glands and sebaceous glands produce bactericidal substances. If bacteria get through damaged skin, they are attacked by white cells and antibodies in the blood. What is the purpose of the gauze mask worn by surgeons during an operation? The gauze mask worn by surgeons prevent infected droplets from reaching the patient. What sources of water are most likely to contain pathogenic bacteria? Water most likely to contain pathogenic bacteria will be that which receives untreated or partially treated sewage. What source of water are least likely to contain pathogenic bacteria? Water least likely to be contaminated will be that which comes from unpolluted populated areas or has filtered through rock layers into underground aquifers. Put the following in the correct order for a water purification plant. A. Chlorination plant. B. Settling water. C. Water tower. D. Slow sand filter. E. Coarse screening. The correct sequence is as follows. E. Coarse screen. B. Settling tank. D. slow sand filter. A. Crawlination plant. C. Water tower. Which one of the following is least likely to prevent contamination of food by housefly? A. A well-fitting dustbin lid. B. Swatting flies. C. Covering food with cling film. D. Efficient sewage disposal. Unless all flies are swatted before they can land on food, this is not an effective way of preventing contamination. In many cases, when you catch an infectious disease, your blood produces dash against the infective organism. This dash remain in the blood or can be rapidly made so that you are dash. To further attacks of the disease, you can acquire dash by receiving injections of dash form of pathogen or its inactivated dash. The injected substance is called a dash. Filling the missing word using the appropriate words: immune, immunity, pathogens, disease, vaccine, antibodies, toxin, harmless, antigen. In many cases, when you catch an infectious disease, your blood produces antibodies against the infective organism. These antibodies remain in the blood or can be rapidly made so that you are immune to further attacks of the disease. You can acquire immunity by receiving injections of a harmless form of the pathogen or its inactivated toxin. The injected substance is called a vaccine. Which of the following diseases can be prevented by inoculation? Rubella, syphilis, tuberculosis, polio, gonorrhea, common cold, measles, hemophilia, mumps, tetanus, AIDS. Rubella, tuberculosis, polio, measles, mumps, and tetanus can be prevented by inoculation. Match each disease with the correct type of vaccine: tuberculosis, whooping cough, diphtheria, polio. Harmless form of virus, inactivated toxin, killed bacteria, harmless form of bacteria. A. Tuberculosis the harmless form of bacteria. B. Whooping cough. It's a killed bacteria. C. Diphtheria. It's an inactivated toxin. D. Polio. Harmless form of virus. Antiseptics and infectant both kill dash, but only dash are safe to use on the skin. Antiseptics and disinfectant both kill bacteria, but only antiseptics are safe to use on the skin. An ideal dash against an infectious disease would be one which destroys the dash, but did not harm the dash. Fill in the missing word using the appropriate words: pathogen, host, drug. An ideal drug against infectious disease would be one which destroyed the pathogen, but did not harm the host. A person with a cough takes a patented cough syrup in 3 days. The cough is better. Does means that the syrup has cured the cough? Justify your answer. There is insufficient evidence to support a claim that syrup cured the cough. The cough might have got better without any treatment at all. Hello friends, thank you very much for participating in Biology Lights. I encourage you to subscribe.